Virginia on ESPN.
We need to restart.
Okay.
Sorry about that, folks. I had the wrong scene selected. You're with the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour, and we're going to restart because I had the wrong scene selected. My fault.
Welcome back to another exciting edition, because here we are. Some technical difficulties. It happens.
He was talking about how distracted we are. Yeah, I am.
Yeah, Jeff, clearly distracted.
Sorry about that, folks.
It's Case Hoskins and Jeff McAdams in the studio today. Paulie is in Greensboro, North Carolina, at the Greensboro Coliseum, taking in currently Louisville versus Florida State. Has been there for the ACC tournament all week. Jared Anderson is down at Ulmer Stadium on Floyd Street, watching Louisville softball take on Northwestern at the moment. Surely getting some great photographs as well. And that's how we're going. That's where we're going. I have to remember what I've already said.
Sorry.
We'll get through it. I started with Twitter, so we'll go with Twitter. Jared, as I mentioned, at Mr. Anderson Jared. He had some great photos from last night's game. He had some great photos from earlier this week from a home lacrosse game. Be sure to follow him on Twitter to get all those, and check out his website as well.
And from the Sunday senior game for women's basketball, and I have those all lined up as slideshows here for you.
That was Sunday. That was this 3 basketball games. Man, hard to keep up with how much
basketball, softball, and lacrosse. He was at all of them. So
I just meant 3 basketball games we have to talk about.
Oh yeah, there's a bunch.
Yeah, I tweet is at best case scenario. Jeff as at Jeff McAdams and at Card Couple Radio. If you're following along with him, you would see his tweets from lacrosse moments before the lacrosse Twitter would send almost the same thing. So quicker on the typing there.
They do usually pull graphics into theirs, though, so credit to them on that. I don't pull that
off. Paulie tweets is at Cardinal Couple. He's been bringing tweets from the last couple of days in Greensboro from games both played by UofL and by everyone else that's there.
Yeah, he's covering the whole tournament, as he does.
So if Louisville just took a 2-1 lead in softball.
Woohoo.
Yeah. So
we're following softball on stats, and we're following basketball in the stream here. We've got it up live in the studio. So
yeah, Carmen Greenwood double,
nice.
A 2-run double there. So, like we said, softball currently ongoing. That one started at 12:15, and basketball currently ongoing. That one started at noon. So both of those games in the final throws here. Later this afternoon, men's tennis taking on Cornell at 2 o'clock. Men's basketball taking on Virginia in the regular season finale at 4 p.m. on ESPN. Baseball taking on Wake Forest in the second game of that series on ACC Network Extra, also at 4 p.m. Tomorrow, the swimming team, the men's side, will start their championship qualifying meet to try and get ready for the NCAA championships. Women's tennis will take on Notre Dame, so they'll be engaged in back-to-back match days. They'll take on Notre Dame at noon, and there will be video available for that. Softball with a rematch against Illinois in the Red and Black Challenge. That one's at 12:15 tomorrow. It will be available on video, and it's at Ulmer. It should be a nice day, so feel free to head on out.
Yeah, I was out there yesterday, and I was all pumped up all week.
And it was cold.
Ulmer, because I was like, man, we're having 60-degree weather. I get to go out to the home opener for softball. I've been anticipating for so long. And then it snows in the morning. I'm like, you're kidding me.
Yeah. And then it's warm again today.
Yeah, warmer today. It may be even warmer tomorrow. It should be a great day tomorrow. I'll be glad to get out there again.
So softball will also be taking on Evansville tomorrow at 4:45. So the late afternoon, early evening game on that one. Baseball wrapping up that series against Wake Forest at 1 p.m. tomorrow. On Monday, lacrosse taking on Niagara, looking to bounce back from their loss against North Carolina on Thursday. That one's at 1 p.m., so a midday Monday game.
Several non-conference games for lacrosse here.
Yeah.
In a row, 3 of them.
And then that one will be available on the ACC Network as well. Men's golf starts their, I guess it's probably not the start of their spring season, but they're continuing that at the General Hackler Invitational at the Dunes in South Carolina. That one going Monday and Tuesday. The men's basketball ACC tournament starts on Tuesday. Louisville will not play until Thursday for that, as they've already locked up a double bye. Baseball taking on Chicago State as their midweek game this week. They've got a 2-game series against Chicago State. 3 p.m. on Tuesday and noon on Wednesday, both on the ACC Network Extra. Swimming and diving NCAA zones begin on
which means
March
that's just diving.
12th. Yes.
Yeah.
So swimming versus diving zones. So
Yeah.
love the way that the schedule is written up there.
Yeah. It's because it's one team for us, but the zones are only a diving competition. So,
Right.
yeah.
Lacrosse heading up to take on the Blue Hens in Newark, Delaware at 2 p.m. on Thursday. No video listed for that, so we'll just have to follow along with stats and Twitter and see what we can learn. As mentioned, Louisville will be playing their first game in the ACC tournament on Thursday as well. Tune into the schedule
Yeah. The men.
for that, because it's currently listed as time to be determined, and it will be on ESPN or ESPN2 or ESPNU or the ACC network.
Okay. Yeah.
One of those. It's going to be somewhere. They'll put it on TV, they think. Friday, they're hoping to continue playing in the ACC championship for the men's basketball. Swimming and diving zones continuing on Friday. Track starts the NCAA indoor championships. A couple of qualifiers, I believe. And I saw the names earlier. I know McKinley Forest qualified. And for the life of me, cannot remember who else I saw that had qualified.
I was about to say 12, but that was for swimming.
Yeah.
12 swimmers qualified. So yeah, I don't know how many track and field.
Women's golf in the Clover Cup at the Longbow Golf Invitational, or the Longbow Golf Club in Mesa, Arizona. That starts at 10 a.m. on Friday. Men's tennis taking on Virginia Tech. And then softball starts their first conference set when they host Boston College.
Gosh, that seems quick.
Right here. It's on us.
Yeah.
So they're taking on Boston College in a 3-game series that will start at 4 p.m. on Friday at Ulmer Stadium. And then baseball will bring in Notre Dame the same weekend, as Jeff is appalled by the calls.
Yeah.
Not as appalled as Daryl,
No.
according to our text message conversation. If you're listening, Daryl, we see you. You're mad.
Yeah. And I just saw that play, and I'm mad too. So, yes.
So it goes. That gets us through the schedule. It is spring. It is the beginning of the spring sports season, the end of winter sports. It's one of the busiest times, rivaling only really November-ish as all of the
overlap seasons. Yeah. It's also a great time to come out to Ulmer or to, well, not necessarily lacrosse, but because it's down the road, but at Ulmer because they started spring break this week, right? I think
it does start this like
this coming week.
Classes,
right? Yeah. So
like in Jefferson County.
Well, not Jefferson
You mean
County.
UofL?
But UofL, yeah. I think.
I believe so.
In which case, it makes parking easier.
I believe that is this week.
Yeah. I think that's right.
What none of us are enrolled anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know. We can't keep up with that. I think that's right because one of the co-ops was talking about how he wouldn't be.
I think that. Yeah.
He wouldn't be at work. So that's where that is.
Yeah.
I think since basketball's ongoing, we're obviously about to talk about it at length. We'll probably just loop all those games together.
Mm-hmm.
So we could probably start with Senior Day. That was on Sunday. That was against Virginia Tech when Louisville men's and women's teams hosted their how to say it, the double header Senior Day
against Virginia
Tech.
Cases. Yeah.
It was all one thing going on there.
Yeah. A lot of people made a day of it down there for both games.
Which a great thing to do. I think they kick everybody out of the Yum Center, but so you go in for the noon game, you get kicked out at around 2:00 when that game ends, and you have yourself a late afternoon lunch, early dinner kind of thing.
Dinner, yeah.
Somewhere downtown. Plenty of options to choose from there, and then head back for the men's game at 6:00 there. So Louisville did pick up the win on Sunday, 70-53. They had already locked up the number 1 seed in the ACC tournament. Mm-hmm. So any wins at this point helping to contribute to try and get them back to that number 1 seed line in the NCAA tournament, fighting hard for that one. Kind of on the outside looking in for a number 1 seed, I believe.
And knocked out Virginia Tech from getting the double bye.
They did.
Yeah, knocked Virginia Tech down to the 5 seed in the ACC tournament.
And they lost.
Yeah.
in their first game.
Against Wake?
BC. Oh, yeah, no, it was against Wake. Yeah.
It was against Wake.
Yep.
Yeah, Wake, who surprised everybody in this
Well,
tournament.
I had picked Virginia Tech to lose.
Did you?
I will say that. I had
Just
picked
not
them
to Wake.
I had to pick them to lose to UNC, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that was aggressive. So it's just bodies clatter to the floor.
Somebody's hurt, too. I hate that.
Oh, she just took a shot to the ribs. Ribs straight to the floor, I believe. But in that game, Louisville honored 5 seniors. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
5 seniors started. They did do what we posited they would do
and hoped for. Yeah.
On Saturday last week. Jazz Jones had herself a heck of a senior day.
Yeah.
On her senior day, as it was, she scored 18 points. She followed that up with a double-double last night and had the most assists on the team. So it's been a big week for Jazz Jones already so far.
Absolutely.
There's probably not a whole lot to say about a game that has already been overshadowed by a game and
most of
39 and a half minutes of another game as we record here. Louisville was pretty much in control of this one. They did lose the fourth quarter by 4 points, but they won.
But they were pulling people out of the stands in that quarter too. So.
Yeah. Louisville takes a 17-point win in this one, getting everybody the amount of time they deserved. I want to say Jess Limley probably got a fair share of minutes on her senior day. As we pull up the box score here, she finished with 6 minutes, which is a bit lower than I anticipated, but she did get the start.
She had a good start and a good first basket of the game by her as well, which was kind of neat to see.
Yeah. Always nice.
Yeah.
2 points for her on her senior day. Dana Evans, who took the bench as not a senior, finished with 11. Kylie Shook also had 15. And that pretty much rounded it up for Louisville. Yassine Diop and Bianca Dunham put in 8 apiece. So a pretty good showing from them. Like I said, not a lot to say about this Virginia Tech game that Louisville dominated.
Yeah, they really did. It was a fun romp to watch, to be there. The crowd was into it. It was a big crowd. It's just a lot of fun. They got to do the rituals that you try to get to do on senior day, assuming you're not, in a super tight game and you can't afford to do them. Being able to take the seniors out one by one at the end and get them all a round of applause. In this case, they did 4 during one timeout, but just kind of trickled the players up there to give them the time to have the applause. The teams and the officials are on board with this because this is just how you do it. And then waited for the next break to sub out Jess Limley, which was a little bit special, I think, which was kind of neat to see. So they got to do all of those rituals. Not a dry eye in the place to start with, I don't think, because these are have been 5 really pretty special players for us, 4 that have been with us for 4 years. It was a fun game to be there.
Yeah. And it was interesting that they did it that way, subbing the players out.
Right.
As they did, the men did almost the exact same thing later when they had 6 seniors that they were honoring.
Right. Cycled through them.
Yeah. They kind of put them all or kind of took 4 of them off the floor at one time.
Yeah.
Which was interesting. And then I think the reason they did it, they took 4 off and put a bunch of extra players in, and then they subbed, I believe, Fresh Kimball for Keith Otto 1-1 as a separate sub so that they could get their applause to get that 6th senior on the floor who then scored his first career field goal for Louisville.
Nice.
And brought the house down.
Yeah. It's been the talk of the Twitterverse all week.
It has been, as Louisville now takes a 3-point deficit into... She got fouled on the way up.
Yep.
Louisville trailing Florida State with 20 seconds remaining here, 59-56. Not the way that Jeff Walls would like to see this going right now, but David Watson, who picked Florida State to win in his bracket, is probably holding his breath either way.
Yeah, absolutely.
I believe. That win over Virginia Tech, as we mentioned, Louisville had already locked up the number 1 seed, but it did set them up for a match against Syracuse, which they took on last night, yesterday afternoon. I believe it was the 2:00 game, Louisville versus Syracuse, and Louisville's defense went out and roundly dominated Syracuse in the first half of that game. The Orange were able to hold Louisville to just 14 points to keep it relatively close at 14-8 at the end of the first quarter, but Louisville turned it on in the second to go on another 7-0 run to start the quarter and then finish the quarter 20-5. Louisville led by 21 at halftime, and that was really the end of the game. Both teams turned on offense a little bit in the second half. They both shot better. Louisville turned the ball over a whole lot in the second half, which I'm sure Coach Walls was not thrilled about. I was not able to watch this one, so I couldn't see quite how angry he was, but I'm sure it was amply. Yeah. Louisville did win the second half by 4 points to wrap up the 25-point victory over Syracuse, 76-41. As I mentioned earlier, Jazz Jones had a double-double, and she had the most assists on the team with 4. Dana Evans poured in 23 points. Yeah, 23 points. Look at me. Remember what I wrote this morning.
Well done.
Kylie Shook was just 2 rebounds away from a double-double of her own. And Mikasa Robinson, the walking double-double that we are anticipating, with no points.
But not points being in the mix.
Not as many. She only played 10 minutes, but she did finish with 2 rebounds, 3 assists.
That's not bad for a 10-minute outing. Yeah.
No, and 3 assists was the second most on the team.
Yeah.
Yassine Diop finished with, Elizabeth Dixon finished with 9 rebounds. Louisville really dominated the rebounding. And looking back at it, Kylie Shook probably should have had a double-double. They granted 8 team rebounds yesterday. Which, if you listen to the show at all, or you listened to it when it was on the radio prior, you will know my disdain for team rebounds and the laziness that it shows to just pick the player. You know, it's like somebody got a rebound.
Right.
There shouldn't be more than 1 or 2.
Somebody's hand.
There should not be more than 1 or 2 team rebounds in a game. But that's just the way it goes sometimes. As we struggle to watch Louisville give up another basket. Easy drive to the hoop. Oh, sorry, that was a replay. But Louisville back down by 3 with time ticking out again.
Yeah, about 20 seconds, I think, at this point.
Yes.
Timeouts galore in the last minute, as typical.
Yeah, it's hard to have started with basketball, being the way that it is.
Yeah.
I'd like to go ahead and talk about this Florida State game and give it some instant wrap up, but can't do that if it doesn't wrap up. So while that's happening, I think I'll go ahead and move to softball, which again is currently ongoing. So maybe I should go to lacrosse instead. Lacrosse took on Longwood earlier this week. Jeff, you were there.
It was.
That was a tie against Longwood, and Louisville jumped out to a 5-0 lead.
Yep. It's like 5 points within first 5 minutes, I think it was, almost.
Oh, I was right. It was 7.
Yeah, it was 7-0, but I think it was 5 within the first 5 minutes. I think the next 2 were a little slower paced.
Yeah, they scored 5 in 5 minutes. The first one at 28:57, and the next at 20, or the last at 22:05 of that run.
Right.
And then they scored 2 more before allowing Longwood to go on a 3-0 run of their own.
Yeah, this looked at the opening just looked like it was going to be an absolute romp by Louisville. And then Longwood finally got settled in. They really looked discombobulated to start with. They got settled in and started defending a little better, started slowing down the Cardinal offense. They really had almost no possession in those first, 5-7 minutes of play before they finally started getting a hold of the ball, controlling it a little bit better. So that was definitely what the opening felt like to me, just subjectively from watching it. I'm not a lacrosse expert, but I was there. I was kind of watching the flow of it, and that was my takeaway.
Yeah, Louisville ultimately won this one 17-7, but you mentioned in his post-game comments, Coach Scott Teeter not thrilled.
Not super thrilled with it. Yeah, he wasn't real happy with the effort and the aggression on it. Really kind of felt like Longwood was beating them to 50-50 balls and stuff like that. He commented on that 2 or 3 times during the pretty short interview. I think Louisville won the ground ball stat, but barely. And I think there were some that were close. I think there were 1 or 2 that were just really spectacular gets by Louisville that shocked people, even shocked the commentators on the ACC network stream. Not real happy with the effort. I don't think knew that wasn't going to suffice when they were going to go down to North Carolina, and it was a quick turnaround for that. So really needed to kind of change the headspace on that, and I'm not sure they really did.
Yeah, and I think if you look at this, what you're probably angry about if you're Scott Teeter is the defense. Longwood and goalkeeping in particular, when we've seen Rachel Florak be fantastic. Longwood only had 11 shots on goal and 7 of them found their way into the back of the net.
Right.
Like we mentioned, Louisville did win at 17-7, but one of the reasons Coach Scott Teeter was frustrated was because Longwood had multiple runs of 3 goals.
Right.
Louisville just finding themselves put behind. That ultimately did come back to haunt them and show itself later in the week when they took on North Carolina, tying that game at 1, and then North Carolina went on a 8-goal run to really stretch that one out. It is the way that it is. North Carolina's
an extremely good team. I think they're number 1 team.
Number one in the country. So
extremely good. So there's really no shame in that one, but it is a little frustrating.
Right. Louisville offensively played very well. Like we mentioned, they had 17 goals. Multiple players with hat tricks. Hannah Morris and Beldora, both subs. Both
played a lot of players in this one. Really, kind of seemed like just about everybody played.
Yeah, I can't even count them.
Yeah, there's a bunch.
Extends past my whole screen of my laptop.
In early on, I think it was 2 minutes left in the first half, maybe before somebody scored their personal second goal. It was scoring by committee. So,
and by then Louisville had 9 goals before anybody scored a second one, and that's a bummer.
Yeah.
As we look up and Louisville misses a pair of a layup and a putback to fall to Florida State 62-60. For the second time this season, Louisville falls to Florida State.
Heartbreaking loss there.
A frustrating one to be sure.
Yeah.
A very close game. Louisville and Florida State were tied at 30 at halftime. We won't be able to dig too much into the stats of this one because I don't trust ESPN stats, and the box score won't be up for any amount of time. As we look up, Dana Evans probably had a foul shout there. Didn't get a call. Jazz Jones unable to get the putback to get up towards the net. So just an unfortunate game there. Louisville will now await Monday. Is this Monday or did they get a week off?
I think you get a week off.
So they'll get a week off before Selection Monday next week. Oh, that's right, because they do Selection Sunday, then they do Selection Monday the next day.
Because ACC has the men's tournament coming up still, so they spread them out a little bit. So the women end up ending really early, which is good and bad.
Well, it's tournament season for all the women. I don't know why they don't do.
Well, a lot of them won't start until later this week.
Really?
Yeah.
SEC is also going on, right?
What's that?
SEC tournament is also going on.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why they do it the way that they do.
But they end up with a big gap, which is nice because it gives you time to practice and recover.
Yeah, you get
also,
to breathe.
Yeah, but also you end up kind of coming into the first round a little rusty, maybe a little stiff, a little got to get back into it, sort of thing.
So Louisville will now probably fall into the 2 seed. If I had to guess, it was probably most likely that they were going to. Jeff brought up stat broadcast like smart guy. It's probably most likely that the Cards needed to go ahead and win the ACC tournament in order to get that number 1 seed, and they were going for the double, which I guess they won the ACC tournament last year, right? So they got their first double last year.
Yes, I think
that's correct.
Yeah. Yeah, because they were co-champions last year of the regular season.
Right.
Yeah.
So this would have been their first outright double.
Right.
If they had been able to pull it off.
Yeah.
unfortunate, but it is what it is. You can't win them all. They'd probably love to see Florida State again in the in the NCAA tournament if they get the opportunity. Both of those games against them, one more frustrating than the other. Well, I say more frustrating. Both extremely frustrating for different reasons. There. But so lacrosse, they beat Longwood, and then Thursday night they had their first ACC game, and it didn't go great. Like we mentioned, they played North Carolina, the number 1 team in the country, currently 6-0. Already. Oh, sorry. Why did I say it was Louisville's first ACC game? They played Virginia Tech last week.
Right.
North Carolina now 6-0, 2-0 in the ACC. As we mentioned previously, it was 1-1 before North Carolina went on a. Let me see if I can get that actual number. Before North Carolina went on, a 9-0 run to make it 10-1. Louisville's Beldora would break that run finally, and then North Carolina would, of course, rattle off 3 more before the end of the half.
4 more, actually. Oh, no, before the end of the half, yeah.
Yep, to make it 13-2 at halftime. And Louisville really played a lot better in the second half.
Yeah.
They played a lot better on defense. They played better on offense. Second half, Louisville was able to lose only 5-6. So they really played it a lot closer there.
Yeah.
But just that huge run by North Carolina, the 9-0 run, really was the difference in this one. They would go on to win 19-7 and solidify their hold on the ACC and on the number 1 ranking in the country. Louisville is going to have a few more games like that, I think, this year.
Because ACC.
Because ACC, and because they're still on the way. Louisville lacrosse, we've mentioned a lot of times. They're still rebuilding. Scott Teeter still trying to bring that team back to the position that it could be in, the position that it hasn't yet had the opportunity to be in since joining the ACC. But they're going to continue to get better. We've seen signs of that so far this season, and they'll try to rebound on Monday, I guess it is.
Yep.
When they take on Niagara.
Is it Niagara? Yeah. Niagara, and then somebody in Albany. It's 3
Delaware.
non-conference. Delaware, and then Albany. That's right, yeah.
Yep. This one was really just a goal fest. Louisville and North Carolina. Louisville had 7 saves. North Carolina had 6. So basically, if you threw it towards the goal, it was probably going to go in.
Yeah.
An interesting way for that one to go. Louisville did win the ground ball stat in this one. They had only a couple of more turnovers. The draw controls were close. Free position shots were close. It just North Carolina was able to get out on offense a lot more often and take advantage of that. So, like we said, Cards back in the Louisville Lacrosse Stadium on Monday at 1 p.m. against Niagara. So be sure to tune into that one. Where are we? What have we done?
We've covered basketball and lacrosse. Kind of bounce back and forth between those a little bit.
The middle of basketball, nice. Like it just happening in the middle there.
There's off. We got softball still to cover.
Yeah,
of
course. Like we mentioned briefly about Louisville and Florida State. Not a lot of autopsy to do on that one right now. We'll give that some time to breathe. Jeff will have a lot more about that in tomorrow's article.
Yeah, I was about to comment about poor shooting, but then I brought up the stats, and we actually outshot Florida State in the game. So I'm going to have to pick that one apart and figure out what went wrong there a little more.
If I had to guess,
rebounds,
you're going to want to look at their turnover numbers.
And turnovers, okay.
Louisville had 19 turnovers against Syracuse. Compared to 12 for Syracuse.
Yeah.
So if they did not turn that around against Florida State, I have to imagine
possible against a good Florida State team for sure.
I have to think that had an impact.
Could be. I'll definitely dig into the stats on that, and probably I'm going to go back and watch the replay. It was disjointed getting to watch it with getting here and all that. So.
Right. So as Jeff mentioned, Louisville came home to Ulmer yesterday, and they took on a middling Illinois team,
Yeah.
8-9 entering the game. 9-9 now because Illinois did go on to win last night against the Cards in their home opener. It was a very tough fought pitching battle between Taylor Roby and Addie. Well, I wrote about her this morning and I've already forgotten her name again. Her last name was.
I don't know. I didn't catch it.
I know it. I watched it.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it. I looked at it and I wrote about it today. Addie Jarvis. That's why I can't remember her because it's kind of an interesting last name.
Mm-hmm.
Jarvis gave up 6 hits, just the one unearned run, and it was really only an unearned run because it's of a passed ball.
Yeah.
It's kind of a weird catcher error on a ball that wasn't even thrown anywhere. So she gave up 6 hits, 1 walk. She did strike out 8 Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
Taylor Roby also threw a very good game. Going into the 8th inning, she had given up 2 hits and 2 walks and 1 hit by pitch, and just one run. But then she gave up 2 more hits in the top of the 8th inning with 2 outs. For that go-ahead run for Illinois. Louisville was unable to answer with a trio of groundouts, and they went on to lose that one 2-1 in 8 innings. Louisville couldn't really get a whole lot going on offense yesterday.
I couldn't get the offense going. There were signs of life, some hits, some opportunities getting on base, but couldn't really string them together to get complete get runs across. It was a little bit of a frustrating game to watch. It was one of those frustrating games. It was pitcher's duel that is just there's not much to pick apart as far as failures. A couple of errors in there that happened that. But it was a frustrating game to watch. Not a fun scoring fest like
Yeah.
High scoring softball games are a lot more fun typically. So,
and Louisville, to add to that frustration, had a couple of threats. They had multiple runners in scoring position. In one situation, Carmen Greenwood ran herself out trying to steal third. In another, Louisville was just unable to do anything after getting a runner to second base. And that's just the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah, several opportunities squandered there. I think it was part of the frustration, but yeah.
When you can't bring somebody around, it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a close game. If you've got a 3 or 4 run lead and you can't bring somebody in, it might come back to haunt you if a game is tied 1-1 for almost the entirety of the game. Leaving runners on is definitely going to haunt you.
Right.
So Louisville, unfortunately, did take that loss, like I mentioned. Put them at 7-13 on the season. After a couple of nice wins over the weekend, we didn't mention those.
Yeah. Beat Tulsa and beat who was it? Not Oklahoma State.
They beat Oregon.
Yes.
Which I think happened while we were on the show.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, because that would have been a Saturday game.
And then they had another close game against Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State, yeah, they did beat Oklahoma State anytime last weekend, but they did have a couple close battles with them. They split with Oregon out there, and all of those 4 games were at Oklahoma State. But the overall event was split between Oklahoma State and Tulsa. So on Sunday they traveled to Tulsa to play Tulsa on their home field, and did get that win as well. So.
Yep. Didn't cover that one, obviously.
Right.
But Louisville did just finish a game against Northwestern. They had taken that 2-run lead in the... I don't know how to read this one as much.
Fifth.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Stat broadcast is harder to read.
Yeah.
The bottom of the 5th, they had a 2-run double to take a 2-1 lead, and then in the bottom of the 6th, Wolf... What is her? Jordan Wolf.
Comes in to pinch hit, I guess. I think. Maybe not. No, they didn't say. They didn't say it was a sub in to pinch, so maybe she's probably in right field. Sorry.
Yeah. So she doubled, another double, to bring in Caitlin Ferguson to bring up a 2-run lead to increase that deficit there.
I love stat broadcast because the Greenwood sisters are on the team. Puts a C there.
Yeah, it's the same.
And they're both C.
Yeah, Louisville.
It's Cameron and Cassidy Greenwood. Yeah. They both start with C. So
Louisville's does that too. It's very annoying.
You need more than just the first initial here, folks.
Yeah, you have to know when you're looking at it, you have to know which one is
Right.
higher in the order to
Right.
know which one is C. Greenwood.
And there's only one player that typically bats between them. So
I figured out that I think they
Whoa.
just always call Carmen is C. Greenwood. I don't know. They just don't want to go Carr
don't know.
and Cass.
yeah.
It would make more sense to do that, but
Yeah.
you know,
But they're both C. Greenwood folks. We need more than just the first initial here.
They do
And
have
this is not a critique of UofL. This is how stat broadcast works. So
They do have a long last name, so potentially having a three initial differentiator at the beginning is just too much.
but
They would overrun.
You got to do it because there's no differentiation otherwise.
Chardonnay Harris picks up the win in this one. She's now 4-6, so really pushing her way to trying to become the number one pitcher for UofL this season. It's a good problem to have if you've got two pitchers pitching well and fighting for that. I think the benefit that Taylor Roby has is, one, she's been with the team longer, and two, she brings a solid bat in addition to her pitching skills.
Right. Absolutely. And one thing I noticed, more teams seem to be, more pitchers, let me say, seem to be wearing the face mask while they pitch now. I asked yesterday up there, I said, is that a mandated thing at this point? Because I don't think I've seen any pitchers not using it this year. I haven't watched closely, but I don't think I've seen any yet. I think everybody has been wearing them. And the answer I got, I don't think so. The person I was asking was not certain on that, but it just seems to have become a more prevalent thing, which I think is a good idea. You know, you're just sitting in that pitcher's circle. You got a ball coming flying at you. Okay. Yeah, it's a good idea. But it's interesting to see that. I've seen over the past few years more and more pitchers wearing that. So just an interesting observation there.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a good thing to be doing. You see, obviously, in MLB, people trying to figure out in what way you can make it safer for pitchers.
Yeah.
They've not been able to find something that's suitable to the players yet.
Yeah.
In a way that they feel comfortable
I know.
pitching. I mean, obviously, they're trying to do their job, and a lot of the options that get brought up are hard for them. But softball has come up with something, and it appears to be catching on. A lot of people seem to like it, and it's very good.
Yeah. And I know, like in college baseball a few years ago, they required that the bats be a little deader, not have as much responsiveness in the hit, so that kind of slowed down the balls coming off of it, which I think helped a little, but I'm not sure if that's going to be a long-term solution to it, but perhaps.
Yeah, I know one of the options that's been floated, and some pitchers do use it. It's kind of a helmet hat. It's a more padded ball cap. But a lot of the pitchers, they don't like the way that it feels. It kind of throws off the weight. It's got more to it than just a regular baseball cap that they've thrown in for their entire lives.
Yeah.
And I could see the same reasoning behind someone being slow to adopt a softball mask as well. But
I think you get used to it, though. Just give it a little time to get used to it.
And the throwing motion is a lot different. Your head with softball, your head's not moving nearly as much with the pitch.
True.
But also the ball is bigger, and you'd rather not take that straight to the face. So the face mask is perhaps a little bit more of a it's got some more draw. Yeah, you might say that you could be excited about.
Diversion
in this
there.
one,
Yeah.
Jordan Wolf really was the catalyst in this game. Louisville had only 5 hits, one from Carmen Greenwood, who led off today instead of Celine Funky.
Interesting. Okay.
Celine Funky batted second. They were both 1 for 3. Jordan Wolf was 3 for 3, and that was it for the Cards. No more hits on the team outside of that. Very interesting.
Yeah. To not have Celine Funky in the lead spot is definitely unusual. That's been her spot since she started getting that starter role a couple years ago. So interesting.
Chardonnay Harris would have been very disappointed to not win this game. I think she had only 2 hits allowed and no walks. She struck out 5. One of those 2 hits was the solo home run that gave Northwestern the 1-0 lead in the second inning. So another fantastic pitching day for her, and a good job by the Louisville offense to do just enough to push that across. Louisville was the beneficiary of an error in addition to that. In addition to those 5 hits, and then I can't find the other pitching stat, so I can't see how many walks they had.
I'm not sure where they are off the top of my head. Yeah.
Excuse me. Sorry about that.
Yeah, down at the bottom there.
Yep.
On that
So they
top,
had one walk. Louisville did strike out 9 times. So we have seen them a little bit susceptible to the strikeout. That's 17 strikeouts over the last 2
I would
days.
say that's a pretty good outing for their pitcher. Just when Louisville struck, they were able to make it count, which was to contrast to yesterday's game where multiple opportunities didn't pay off. So it's interesting to look at that. I obviously wasn't there because coming over here to do this, but didn't get to see it in person. But that's an interesting.
Yeah, you scheduled yourself out of the game.
I know, right? Yeah, I didn't realize it at the time, but this was the only time this was available for us. So today.
And I guess they changed the schedule yesterday, right?
Yeah,
mid afternoon,
a
they
little
shuffled
bit.
things around.
They moved them later in the day yesterday because it was so cold in the morning. And then I'm not sure how that shuffled up the whole weekend too much. I think it did. I don't know to what degree though, and how much it changed. I didn't pay too much attention. I just looked at what the new times were. So 2 games tomorrow. So
2 games tomorrow. As we mentioned, Louisville will be taking on a rematch against Illinois. They will certainly hope to get this win against
absolutely.
Illinois. There should be no reason they don't. They showed that they should have gotten the win yesterday, I believe.
I think so. Yeah.
They would feel that way. Taylor Roby will probably get the ball in the circle again, if I had to guess, and then Chardonnay Harris to take on Evansville, or potentially one of the freshmen. I don't know. I don't know if they'll pitch her on 1 day rest like that.
Yeah, they might. Very possible.
We'll see. You'll be there. I assume Jared will be there.
Planning on heading out there, yeah. I'm not sure if Jared's going to be. I think he said he was.
I don't remember.
But I don't remember now for sure. But probably get some good pictures out there.
Paulie will not be back from Greensboro. He will now suffer in anger watching Florida State take on either Boston College or more likely North Carolina State.
Yep.
In the final there tomorrow afternoon for the ACC Tournament Championship, not the regular season. I went too fast.
Okay.
We've still got 15 minutes left.
That's okay.
I don't know what we're going to talk about for 15 minutes, Jeff. Do you have anything on your mind?
We did mention that the second game for softball tomorrow is against the Evansville Purple Aces, which is one of my favorite mascots around. That one should be around 4:15, but game in between there. I think that's
4:45.
4:45 is what it says. Yeah, as you say, it seemed a little quick, but yeah, there is a game in between. But come out, like I said, it should be a great day. I don't know if they'll do pay for parking since it's heading into spring break. They may just have it open, so possibility. Come out. Dairy Castle's open now.
Dairy Castle did open this week.
Yeah, it's open Tuesday. Yeah. So yeah, I don't have a whole lot more to talk about.
I have a friend coming in from college.
Yeah.
He lives in Colorado now.
Yeah.
He's coming in October, late October, and I hope that Dairy Castle is still open.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people on the internet made a big deal about Dairy Dell opening.
Yeah.
I don't know why people care about that when Dairy Castle opened the day before that, which is clearly the superior option.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I've not ever compared their offerings, but Dairy Castle is the.
I've never been to Dairy Dell in my life,
Yeah.
or even like seen where it is, but
So
Dairy Castle is superior.
I mean, Dairy Castle is the more convenient one to UofL for sure. Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway.
Yeah. It's one of those things where you, it's like White Castle and Crystal Burger. If you've never been to Crystal Burger, you just say White Castle is better just because it's the one you know.
I've been to Crystal, and White Castle's better.
Well, yeah. I don't know that anybody would call White Castle good, so it's kind of like which one's less bad. Maybe.
Well, yeah, that may be too. Yeah.
Similar to the thing when Chipotle wasn't here.
Yeah.
And everybody thought Chipotle was better than
Yeah.
Qdoba, and then you want what is familiar. We
did just get an update from Jared on bracket standings, so I promptly shifted out of the standings.
Yeah, I think we're both out now.
Yeah.
My chances of winning are slim.
Yeah, looks like top position right now goes to Daryl and Dave. Dave-O. So.
Well, Dave is going to win most likely then.
Yeah, because he's got Florida State going.
He doesn't have Florida State winning it.
Yeah.
So
So that makes
if he backed himself up, I don't remember. I saw he said that Florida State was going to win. I don't remember if he backed it up in his bracket selection.
I think he did. Yeah.
So
So
congratulations to our friend of the site, David Watson, on your.
So Daryl and Dave Watson are tied for first, and the Cardinal couple chimps are in second or third.
So are the chimps a coin flip bracket?
I don't know.
I don't either. I don't know. We don't know. Paulie does not tell us anything about the chimps. They just stay in the cage at his house. And
That's
he doesn't
right.
teach us anything. We don't know about them. We've never seen them.
Yeah.
We just know that they're somewhere.
Other than Daryl, the top Cardinal couple personality, if you will. I'm using that. No, there's plenty of personality, but not necessarily a personality in the sense of
radio or
TV personality. But Paulie is coming in at 5-9. It looks like right now.
Well, I was ahead of that.
Yeah, well, that's what Jared was saying. Those are final. Like, they don't have a chance to make any more changes, I think.
Yeah.
Is what he said.
Yeah, Paulie's out.
Yeah. So
Poor Paulie.
Yeah.
Struggled in at 5-9. Jared was 0-5 to start the bracket challenge.
Like
so I think
6, actually. I think
he's struggling as well.
Yeah, he had a rough start.
Jeff, I think you were doing well based on that.
I was doing pretty well. Coming into
thing.
Today, I think I was like in second, tied for second, or so, tied for third, maybe something like that.
If you don't ever get onto the site and get involved in these bracket challenges, they're a lot of fun.
They really are.
It's just kind of testing your. It's one of those things where you want to test your knowledge on women's basketball and see how much you can keep up. We always do one for the NCAA tournament as well. You don't have to enter it in quite such the odd fashion that we do for the ACC tournament, just because there's a lot less teams in the ACC tournament. But you can issue a bracket.
Yeah, it's just a lot more to put in. It's a little harder to make sure you get it all correct. And
it would be hard to say.
Yeah,
round of 64. You got to list 32 teams. You could do it that way.
It's what a lot of us do, but it is a little tricky. But yeah,
Jeff, do you have any final thoughts for us this week?
I start my new job Tuesday.
You do?
Yeah,
that's exciting.
Yeah, I got my new laptop. Yeah.
Is that what the second one we had today was? Oh,
these are both personal laptops.
Oh,
yeah. So I routinely carry two laptops, a personal one and a work one. Is what I have done for a long time. When my position was eliminated in my previous job back in January, they said keep the laptop.
You had two
which
personal
was very
laptops.
nice of them. I appreciate that. So now I have two personal laptops that I use, for different things. I had almost walked out the door with the wrong one this morning, actually. So caught it at the last minute, went back in there and swapped them out, and got the right ones to do all this. So yeah.
Well, how could you have the wrong one if you had both?
No, I had my new work one.
Oh, you already got the new one.
And the one we were streaming the game on, not the one with the broadcast system.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that would have been tough.
Yeah.
I am traveling this week.
Yeah.
Via airplane.
Yeah, good luck with that. Stay safe. Stay healthy.
It is one of those things where now you're like, all right, it's first confirmed case in Kentucky yesterday.
Yeah.
Officially the first confirmed case in Indiana yesterday as well.
Yeah.
So I think it's fair to mention, I think in Italy, all the sports leagues are now played in empty games. The NBA sent a memo out to the teams that is a potentiality that they will have to contend with. The state of Washington and the Seattle area specifically have put out notes to say, if you're not feeling well, if you feel you are susceptible, don't go. I think the CDC's official recommendation is if there is not an event that affects your personal livelihood, economically or in some other way, you probably shouldn't go. So we're not ones to tell you anything. But if you
medical professionals here, but
are feeling ill or you feel that you are susceptible to an illness like this, we are coming up on March Madness season. A lot of people travel for a lot of games. Just beware, be safe. Want everybody to take care of themselves.
Yeah. Be safe, be healthy. Absolutely. We're a little short this week than what we usually are, but that's okay. We can do that.
We have that. We're using the flexibility for the first time.
Absolutely. Yeah. But sorry for the delayed start and a little bit of distraction on that. But
our technical difficulties.
Yeah. How was the technical difficulties? I just forgot to press the button.
That's a difficulty of some sort.
Yeah. Not technical. between my ears. This is the problem there. So.
But that will wrap it up for us this week on the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour. We will be back again next week, as long as nothing changes. So be sure to tune into the site for all the news as the week goes on, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Thank you.